Hello everybody, shareholders. Not everybody could have made it here today, but that's okay. I believe Junebug is starting a Zoom recording, right? So if they want to voice their opinions, they can either send it to us or we can hold another meeting. Anyways, welcome one and all to the first Fuguland shareholder meeting. It's very exciting. Excuse me, Dan, I'm so sorry. Could you please put away your tool momentarily?
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
it's just a little distracting. Thank you. Yeah, so here we are all together. I feel like we just needed to sort of get on the same page, talk about what we're doing, talk about our plans. Um, and so we're gonna hold this meeting, and then obviously this will give an open space for you guys to discuss your concerns or anything, and sort of contribute so that we have a clear path going forward. Okay, so that's way too far. Sorry, I don't. I'm really bad at technology. So where are we now? Um, as you can see,
Oh,
this is a very tough. This is a very rough prototype. Um, where are we now? So right now we don't have a lot designed. We don't have a lot planned in terms of IP and visuals, and so there's a lot of empty
I
space
can
there,
tell.
and we will be working on it. But I just thought I'd be a little transparent with you guys and say that there's not much going on there. Um,
is this where our consumers are gonna see?
no,
Is
no,
this
no,
where
no,
our
no.
money's going into?
This is
Is this
purely share. Okay, we'll move forward. Um, But there are a lot of cool things on the horizon, a lot of cool things we can talk about. First, I just wanted to discuss about things that we aren't going to talk about today, really, but something that we should consider for the future. First and foremost, yes, the logo, the mascot, and also transportation. I'm in
I think
talks
we
with
just
some
saw the
city
mascot.
officials to discuss, you know, building some infrastructure between Graveltown and further to get people in and out of Fuguland. So it's just something to consider and something I just wanted to bring forward. Um, but yeah, so moving on to the topics of today. Please work. Hello. Wait, where's my topics of today?
You already
Is this a
passed it. We already
video and
went
you're just
over it.
timed to it?
I am not timed to it. Oh, topics for today. So we have three things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the land, and the space that we have that we've been provided, and kind of give you guys a more clear idea of what we're working with. We're going to talk about the technology. Our chief engineer Junebug here is going to sort of take over that part of the meeting. And then we're going to talk about plans and sort of discuss and figure things out, some loose ends that I thought I would bring up to you guys so that we can figure it all together. And of course, everybody who's on the Zoom recording, you're totally welcome to voice your concerns or agreement later. Okay, so part one, the land. So right here we have an image of the available land space for Fuguland. Temporarily, you see some, you know, experiments and whatnot going on. But this is the available space we have for Fuguland. I don't know the exact number, but it spans somewhere between 100 to 200 blocks wide and tall. Uh, there is also room to expand and room to grow. It sits directly. What direction is that? It sits directly east of Old Graveltown and of Graveltown, and we will have direct sort of road access and potential, as I was saying earlier, transportation access to the land. So yeah, that's sort of what we're working with. It's been cleared and readied. So yeah. Let me get to the next slide. Okay, so second part of today, technology. I'm gonna hand this over to Junebug. I'll help him with the slides a bit, but he, yeah, so he'll sort of take over this part of the conversation.
Oh.
For the rest of the meeting, I kind of wanted to discuss our future plans and what's going on. I know you guys are super excited after that technology presentation. Uh,
Yeah.
I know I am. And so, the question is, what are we gonna do with it, right? What's next? What are the plans? So right now, we are actively working on Muppet Vision 3D, as we discussed before. We also have plans for a Pokemon exclamation mark. Just a nice ride, the concept sort of being that you and Professor Oak are working on a sort of thing, and he sends you back in time to find a Pokemon, and things go awry when you're caught up in the middle of sort of a catastrophic, um, earth moving event. And then, of course, we are working on coasters. Like we were saying, all the technology that we were working on. We also have ideas for a Pikachu-based coaster and other sort of dark, dark ride roller coasters and more open roller coasters and etc. Worlds. That's going to be the big conversation topic. We'll discuss in like 2 minutes about it. But that'll basically be, what are we going to showcase in Fuguland? What areas, what worlds are we going to have in Fuguland? Um, and last but not least, it was just a little thing. I was thinking, maybe somewhere we can have an homage to some greener parts of the land, and maybe try our best in giving a space for research and in our own way trying to conserve and limit the amount of waste that we as a company Fuguland really puts out there. So I was thinking, maybe there was a space somewhere for a um living with living with the land. I don't know. I haven't figured out the name exactly. I was just thinking about it. Uh because like we would live with the land instead of on the land. I don't know what you guys think about that. But yeah, that was just a final idea I had. So moving on to the big topic, worlds. So currently, this is my sort of proposed plan for what we could do with the space that we have. And given this diagram, we have space for 5 worlds. Um, Now, 3 of these worlds we kind of have ideas for already. uh, we were thinking of, working with some outside companies, getting some IPs in, because I feel like that would be very beneficial for the park, and a lot of people would enjoy that. Uh, so, of course, with Muppet Vision 3D, we're going to also have Muppet Land, and it'll sort of resemble an homage to, Lumio City and sort of the active, bustling streets, much like um, you know, the Muppets in like New York and Lumios and all of that all together, um, in one land. We'll also have Poke World, just a nice depiction and experience of the wonderful world of Pokemon, uh, including Pokemon exclamation mark and the Pikachu coaster, etc. Uh, and then, we were gonna reach out to the Big D, Disney and Lucasfilm, and try to strike a deal and maybe get a Star Wars land in there. I know they already have something going on, but we'll be a little, we'll lean away from the same planets, same rides, etc. Kind of go to a different place with that. And the meetings back and forth have been pretty successful so far, so I think we're kind of in, if that is something that everyone is interested in and we could continue with. But as you can see, that leaves us with 2 more lands. Now, there were some ideas that we were throwing out. Uh, a potential like pirate land, or a potential Harry Potter land, and reaching out to that sort of Warner Brothers, or like a future land, maybe they're like living with the land could live there, um, things like that. And I was wondering if you guys had opinions on, and this is sort of the big part of the meeting. It's like, what do we put there? I open the floor to everyone. That's a fair point.
I agree. Lean into Pokemon and other stuff that we already have.
I concur. I
I
concur.
heard
Yeah.
some moaning from the other
Pokemon.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool.
from some of the peanut gallery on Zoom.
Hey, on Zoom,
I've also
can you
just
guys,
realized
make sure
that
to mute.
my mic was muted for the video presentation that whole time.
Oh,
Oh man, that's tough.
So that's tough, but it's okay. I can give a
For the
private
Zoom recording?
presentation to my other shareholder.
Yeah, I see. It's probably fine.
Most of
so
you
yeah,
can hear
so-
everything you said.
So I think we're agreeing that like maybe we should lead into IPs more. Any IPs in particular that people want to throw out there? I know we mentioned Harry Potter. That's a pretty big IP that we can sort of explore.
We
Let
do
me
Lord of
consult,
the Rings.
consult my database.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, well, let's write that down.
Can do a Legend of Zelda themed.
Do a Legend of Zelda.
You build a
But-
giant Deku tree.
But that might have a bit of crossover with Lord of the Rings, like tonally.
Yeah, I was
so-
gonna say there might be like a fantasy sort of realm that we can live, like a high fantasy realm that we can live, and it's a question of Sean. Okay,
You see,
Hey,
I see
if-
that.
if we're on the Zoom call, can we just make sure to mute the microphones? You know.
I'm sorry. I think I need to go to sleep.
Yes, go to sleep, Sean. It's okay.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night. And he's asleep now. Anyways.
Big if true. See, I see that we
I have a
have
question.
all the different like
Yes.
IPs. Oh,
Ow.
sorry, I interrupted
Sorry.
you, but I will continue to interrupt you. What is the expect?
kill me.
Let's relax.
Shareholders?
Let's relax.
Shareholders,
What is-
please.
You want to kill another shareholder
relax.
in the meeting?
Please relax.
What is the expected return on our investment? I've made a pretty hefty investment into the park. What are we expected to see in return in terms
Yes.
of?
So the expected returns. So all your money is going into the straight development and building of Fuguland, and what you would get in return is not only the monetary output of the park itself and of its audience, but you would also get something that money can't buy: a wonderful experience. And in this experience, you'll learn the joy of imagination and childhood and magic right here in the Fugu region. And it's just something that is priceless.
Is there a possibility of, say, restaurant owners opening up a
100%.
location or two?
Yes, of course. We have actually in the park there may be some constraints regarding theming, but it's totally possible. I know outside of the park, I have been thinking about plans for resorts or sort of a city walk kind of situation, and that might be incorporated as well. So there's definitely room for that. Fluffleg is doing backflips.
Yeah, I was just trying to get your attention. So so we have a lot of different IPs, but I see the problem is I think they're all too woke. Y'all are known for
see.
being woke, and I think for our other IPs, we should
Harry
lean
Potter?
into something.
Yeah, I don't.
I like
Harry
the way
Potter's-
you think. Harry Potter's there. I was thinking we could have an
Only if
anime
J.K.
world
Rowling
for the
is directly
weebs,
involved.
because any weeb would not go to most of these places, except maybe
Something for
Pokemon
weebs,
or
I
some
see.
section of Star Wars. I think like
May I
Grant
suggest a
specifically,
Persona themed land?
I would love some Persona love. I
That
think
was
there are
kind
some
of a joke,
popular
I'm not gonna
animes
lie.
we can take inspiration from, like Jujutsu Kaisen, very popular anime with the
Mhm.
kill children.
I think our worry is we've done a lot of surveys of our demographic and the sample size that we have, and we're worried that maybe certain lands and IPs might be a little bit niche for the maximum amount of attendees of the park. And so we want to make sure that it remains as accessible as possible to um, all park guests.
Are you arguing with the shareholder, sir?
I am arguing with the shareholder.
He's-
I have put in a lot of my
He's
own
falling
money
asleep.
into this project.
He's asleep.
He's asleep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
Wake!
Snoozing.
I see the run around a bit.
See,
What a
you don't
shitty
even grind like
shareholder.
I do. I'm always awake. That's how
thought he was
that's how I
chief
got to where I
engineer, so
am.
he's chief
He's
engineer
no,
and
he's chief engineer. He's not a shareholder.
I'm
but
not
he
a
has-
shareholder, but I have put in a lot of my own money into the project.
Well, get off the
I'm
shareholder
an
table.
owner. I'm not a
We
not a
paid for
shareholder.
this.
I'm an owner.
We bought this table.
You
He's
didn't
chief
buy
Yeah,
this
we-
engineer and
table.
we worked
co-owner
hard
of
to get here.
Fuguland, which
Turn
is
on the mics. I paid
underneath
for them.
the Insecure Construction Company. Speaking of, real quick, John, I was thinking about on the second floor, giving you an office space and making that the Fuguland floor. So it's just
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. So, okay. So we brought up some interesting things. We brought up Lord of the Rings, Legend of Zelda. We brought up Jujutsu Kaisen, and potential, you know. Oh.
Acid attack.
And so you know, I just what is. I feel like we need to come to a decision, pretty soon actually. So if we could,
I'm throwing my shoe at you.
if we could try
Bush.
to. Okay.
Well, is there a possibility? Like, is Legend of Zelda weeb enough? I feel like that's
No,
enough broad
it is
appeal.
not. It's not weeb at all. Does it have broad appeal? Yes.
Yeah, I concur. It has broad appeal, but it's not weeb enough. It's too
Well,
woke.
my question about Legend of Zelda 2 is that yes, it is a great franchise, and yes, there's a lot there. But how much material do we really have to work with for a theme park? You know,
That's true. You're not wrong.
like, I don't know if there's enough.
Yeah, the
really for
Hyrule Castle
thematic.
Depths ride.
You
I'm
have to
not
do
sure
the
what
maze from
else there would
Ocarina
be.
of Time.
I think I really enjoyed the Lord of the Rings input.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not biased at all. I just
Yeah.
Well, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Here's some bias from the owner.
Well, but the other thing about the Lord of the Rings input that I will say is that, kind of bouncing off of what John said earlier, is I don't know how big the audience is for that. You know, regarding our sort of shareholder and sort of audience. Are you?
That means there's a huge audience.
I see. I'll take that into account then, I guess. Yeah, so we can either come to a decision today or sort of next meeting try to bring more ideas in if you guys would like. Oh my god.
Yeah. How much of this will be made by AI is my next question.
All of it.
All of it.
Okay, good.
Good.
Good to know.
Yeah, I was thinking of using some stable diffusion to make our actual logo and not even try or lift a finger. And, you know, instead of doing the work, stealing the work from others. I thought it was just a, you know.
That
And you
sounds
know what?
right to
That
me.
maximizes
I mean, I
our
think it's
shareholder
implies
value,
that,
so
like,
I'm perfectly
these
okay
A-
with that.
These
These A.
These A.
These A.
He's a, yeah. He's AI. I think is what
Oh,
he's
did I
trying
cut
to
out?
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think it's very important to feed these poor AI agents and give them stuff to
Ah,
do. you know?
yeah, you're sorry.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Absolutely.
they have an AI family back home. That's what I've been saying for
All
a
right.
while.
Well, then I feel like if you guys could try to think of some IPs and worlds that we can discuss in a future shareholder meeting, that would be great. But for now, I would like to thank you guys for your time. Dan, please put your gun away. I would like to thank you guys so much for your time coming here. It was really hard to get you guys here, and I know not all of us could make it. Again, those of you on Zoom, just make sure to voice your complaints if you have any, and we will let you know when the next shareholder meeting is, where we can
Well,
sort of
Jerry,
finalize and discuss the
I do want to
things.
ask for.
Oh yes, wait. I am so sorry. already here had an external presentation that he wanted to bring in,
Oh, no.
and I told him I'd give him the space for
You know,
that.
as a fellow shareholder, the least I can do is listen. You know,
All
I'm
right,
shareholder.
Let me
sweet.
pull
Thank
that
shareholder.
up
you.
for you really
Thank you.
quickly. Or do you have the link, or should I just?
Well, I sent it to you in
Yeah,
Discord.
I'll put it.
Make sure you have your volume on for this.
Oh boy.
It is on.
Okay.
I have volume.
I do have volume.
Okay, so
Whoa,
What the
Pausing it, pausing it, pausing it, pausing it.
What the fuck is
What is
this?
Maybe turn it up
I'm
from the
ready.
projector.
All right,
I did,
so
I did.
before I start, friends, shareholders, countrymen, lend me your ears.
It's 4 minutes long.
As a
You
know, okay, as a shareholder, right? I can't, in good conscience, let this proceed forward without raising, a concern or two, because that can
Of course.
impact our profits,
Did you make an
And that's all
environmental
that
impact
matters.
study?
That's the
So
face
yes,
I would make if I
the
wasn't getting it.
following video here with this little fugu is addresses a couple of those issues and some of the solutions. So, I'm happy.
What the heck?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh
Yo,
my
Dan, you can't
God.
get bricked up in this room, man.
We'll discuss being bricked up in the presentation. Don't
Oh,
worry.
great, lovely.
What?
But
Okay.
but I'm happy to have a little
throwing bricks.
Q&A session afterwards. But without
course.
further ado, direct your attention to the video.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Fuguland today and how it is horrible for the environment and deserves
Is it funny, Mike?
quite
Here,
a bit
it's
of
supposed to be
oversight,
funny,
to say the
Mike.
least.
It certainly sounds
So
like funny, Mike.
we have
It
to ask
is
ourselves,
kinda
what
funny,
is
Mike.
I was like
Fuguland?
eating my
What is a
headphones.
Fuguland?
1 gazillion?
Fuguland
sorry.
covers
That number's
around
just.
a gazillion fucking blocks.
I
You
don't.
can see in
What
many
indigenous
directions it stretches
communities?
a lot of blocks. And in this
A lot of
Fuguland,
blocks?
we're
Even
expecting
more blocks.
at
See,
least a
this man's
handful of
getting my
attractions to be
attention.
erected, put up, bricked up, some would say.
Erected?
And
Bricked
unfortunately, this land is was formerly half of a beautiful highlands biome and was crisscrossed by indigenous populations and
What are those
transport routes.
populations?
Indigenous populations.
Some bad stuff's happening. You can see Exhibit A, Hook Salmonicus, the famous fish-hook salmon native to small highland streams, is being encroached upon by the expansion of the park. You can also see in Exhibit B the site where there were formerly stone spires, but now there
Stop
are
getting
no
your
longer
slime
stone
on the table,
spires,
dude.
and a lot of the topsoil is missing.
Don't put your slime
Which,
on
if
me,
you know
dog.
anything about the Dust Bowl, it's not really good. And lastly, C, you can see in that leading tree there an example of leaf chlorosis, the loss of chlorophyll and other pigments via the heavy metal runoff that we're seeing from the park here. And if you'll direct your attention to this next slide,
my God.
you can see
Oh my god.
just how high the risk is for runoff. On the chart on the right, you see a typical example of a environment with a high risk of elevated runoff, and you can see on the left side that from rainfall that's actually happening
Why is this
in the moment right here. That water ends up going down the hill towards this big lake that then turns into a red lake, which is not good.
What
And
do
that's
you mean it
because there's
turns
lot of
into a red
redstone,
lake?
like right at the top, you can see it. Like right around, like right there.
Turns into a red lake, man.
This is crazy.
Now, lastly, we have this here, indigenous population.
Okay, 10,000 is crazy.
I
There were
What?
not 10,000 people there.
I
This
don't.
is
There were
just
not
some of
10,000
their,
people in Old
homes and
Graveltown.
roads being
I
just
counted them.
deleted.
You didn't.
And
counted them?
You counted each and every of them.
Lumio City and Graveltown.
How are we supposed to trust you
So-
when your graphics aren't even loading?
There are a couple solutions to be had.
How
with
do you
this.
know if we're not a sanctuary
First off,
city?
the EPA, the Environmental Preservation
What?
Agency,
Suck my balls.
Suck my balls.
To go around the margins of the park and
Collect.
buy,
Okay,
key,
okay,
critical,
bud.
amazing, big, beautiful
To
environment.
Egypt or Jordan. Okay.
And soil
Okay,
sample,
okay.
No,
or sample the soil,
Egypt and
whichever
Jordan.
one you prefer, to make sure that no runoff is occurring. We're gonna collect fees. We're also gonna relocate, some of those
No
at-risk
elaboration on
species,
what the fees are.
such as Samachus.
We're
also
going to
gonna
collect
relocate
fees,
some of the
period.
indigenous populations to Egypt and Jordan. And lastly, we're going to monitor the construction activities to make sure everything is, in accordance with various rules that we'll set up. Do note that the fees are payable to Joseph Daniel.
Why?
Let's see.
That's a crazy ass
It'll take a bit of money, the goals are
Payable
to
to
finish.
Joseph
Mine's behind a
Daniel.
bit.
No, it's not
yeah,
finished
that's
yet.
about it.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
finished now.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
so that's the gist of it. Do you guys have any questions?
Many. How can we
Can
trust?
I start with?
Oh, you can go.
One
can
at
I
a
start
time,
with
one at
where-
a time,
Sorry,
friends.
I'm so sorry. Can I just start with where exactly did you get your numbers from? I'm just curious.
Which numbers? There's a lot in this
All of them?
presentation.
All of them.
Well, for the referring to the area of the park, I walked along the margins until I lost track of numbers, so I just stopped there. In terms of the people, I may have double counted one or two people, but that's roughly the number of people that were formerly there and are now in these other cities.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think you did the legwork, so you should
I
stop
think that's pretty
talking.
reasonable.
That
estimate.
Lubio
Wouldn't you
City
say
has
that?
received no refugees.
I
from
can
the
confirm that
displaced
Shore
area
City
of
has
Fuguland.
That's
also
true. That
received
is
no
false.
refugees.
We've not received any refugees.
Well,
But the numbers might be
it's up for debate. We can shelve
It's
that
not
for
up
now.
for debate. I own Shore City. It's
I
not.
beg to
there's
differ.
no-
I am one of the. I am one of the mayors of Lubio City.
And there's
We
also
have received
way
no
less than
people
10,000
displaced.
people there. So even if they were displaced, there's about maybe a population of 30, I would say, maybe max.
But have you considered that they may just be unhoused?
Well, they are unhoused right now, but that's
Just
because we're
roaming
going through a
around.
massive renovation project.
Oh, and that makes it okay.
I have a question.
Well, I'm just saying that
Yes.
they're not from.
Shoot.
I have a
Shoot,
question.
Shareholder, Daniel.
I've reviewed many of the prescribed measures that you've outlined in this presentation.
I mean, that's why I presented. them.
Many of which, namely the EPA regulation, the controlling of the runoff, and the having to deal with effectively a refugee crisis as you've coined it. I just want to focus on the EPA alone. Do you know how much exactly is this going to cost Fuguland?
Well,
That's a great question.
the question is not how much it'll cost Fuguland. It's how much you stand to gain, Mr. Daniel.
No, I want to know how we can trust an environmental agency that you created that pays out to you and that you conducted the survey for.
You know,
concur.
this actually brings up
I
an
also
important question
concur.
for me.
Well, if my name ain't
What do you?
already PhD,
PhD,
now you have to
okay.
listen to me.
I will also say, as a founding member of Fuguland and in the lead engineer and all that, all those titles that I hold, we did a survey of the land prior to building up the land, and a lot of the things that you brought up were not, in fact, things that we did, but things that were simply there before we got there.
Such as?
The trees being different colors, that was prior to us. The lake prior to the red lake, I don't think that's real. I think you made that up. It looks like you just colored it in with a red highlighter.
Well, that's why I said risk of runoff. Thank you very much.
Well,
owned.
To that point, I would like to say that the current state of the testing grounds, yes, is concerning, and I totally agree with that concern of runoff. However, the park itself won't be like that, and we will take very high, precautions and definitely take care in terms
Yeah,
of
hence
that
me
kind of thing.
saying that there needs to be enforcement for that, of course. Because if you can't take my word for it, as is, for these things, why should I take yours? That'll
I'd
actually
like to
be
point
safe?
out that there is a very thriving population of old Graveltown that was not displaced by this park in the slightest, and on the contrary, was compensated very generously for their donation of a partial section of their land for the construction of Fuguland, and therefore, Fuguland has done nothing wrong in regards to the people of Old Graveltown, and there have been no
Uh-huh.
refugees.
I
In
agree.
the
Have you seen
surrounding
New
areas of the
Graveltown?
road
Actually,
area of
Dan,
Old
I'm sorry,
Graveltown.
but there's a quote that we can go back on. It's been recorded in the history of the Holy Khanate. If we go to the most recent quote on the quote board, "Oh, there's a baby, I just destroyed its home."
That is out of context.
That's pretty damning.
I think that's completely out of
It's-
context.
That was a part of the Shore City renovation project. And
In
that
fact,
child
look
is
at the
fine.
city you're in right now.
In
But
fact,
that,
not
but
only is
what
that
you
right
do
now,
at
not
Shore
only
City
is that
relates to
child
Fuguland,
fine,
and it relates
not
to the
only
image
is
of
that
Lumio
child
City.
fine, that child has married and had a kid of his own. So you tell me if the people in Shore City are
Just
not
because
thriving.
he has a kid doesn't mean he doesn't have to live with generational trauma.
Generational trauma for
Okay,
what?
can
I'm
we-
giving him a better
can we
home.
bring this? Can we bring this back in? We're just talking about the environment here.
I think
I'd
it's
like
pretty
to circle
woke.
back to the EPA then.
Question,
I think
Joey.
the EPA is pretty
Yeah.
woke, personally.
Since
They-
since
go, you.
Fuguland is partially basing its design on Lumio City, as we heard in the
Yes,
in
of course.
the thing, if there are any violations caused by Fuguland and there are payments for the EPA, that in turn would make the image of Lumio City worse because they're trying to represent us. I think
That's true.
there should also be a fee included for any reputation damage caused by Fuguland paid directly to Lumio City. And I would be perfectly fine with the EPA existing if that
Now,
was the case.
I do agree that you mayors of Lumios should have sort of an overseeing perspective of the Lumios project part. I totally agree. I think that if we do a
What?
He's gone.
Yeah,
Joe's
Joey
gone.
did not respond to that. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
No, the presenter.
the presenter
Look,
dead.
guys, let's just call it like it is.
John, did you assassinate him?
No, I did not.
Guys, I think we all know what this is. This is the overreach of a bureaucratic state that is paid off by the wokeists.
I agree.
And that is
I couldn't
stifling
agree
innovation
more.
because, as we all know, regulation stifles innovation. And if we let the EPA run Fuguland with its regulations, with its regulatory bodies, Fuguland will end up a bland husk of nothingness and
Well,
woke.
Look,
I
I agree.
And woke,
But
yeah.
I am fine with giving some concessions in some environmental survey. I just think that this EPA, this quote unquote EPA, has been made by Mr. Joseph Balaam to benefit Mr. Joseph Balaam, and he is making up problems that don't
100%.
exist. So I think that if we do want to ensure environmental regulation, and that we are doing everything as safely and good for the environment as possible, which we are, by the way, then I think we should hire maybe Miss
I think
Mocha.
there
I
must
believe she
be-
lives out in the forest. And
Yes, there must be an
Yes, yes,
independent
yes.
review of the
Independent
EPA.
yes,
I do agree. I think the EPA as a concept is good, and I do think we do need to be kept in check. But in the same way, I think the EPA needs to be kept in check. And yes, I do agree.
I think we
that
should be
Miss Mocha out
checking
in the forest
ourselves
is a
the
good,
way we should be doing it.
Because let's be honest,
it's a good option for
Yeah.
for-
the people of
for
Old
EPA
Graveltown
regulation.
were gone long before Fuguland development began.
That is
Yeah,
true.
We had a Roanoke moment. I just
We
I don't,
had
This
a
was, as
righteous
they say,
right
a
to the land.
without people for a park without land.
And,
Yeah, exactly.
I
They're
thought
real.
that some of them would reappear once we made New Graveltown, but It seems
Because
that
yeah, you know what you said. They just kept repopulating.
it
you
seems
know?
that the city focused on building the city part and not so much the houses part. There are a bunch of townhomes without any people in them.
I think
Hey,
the Fugu Region Department of
have an
Justice
apartment
will
building
want
as well.
will want Judge Mocha to make an independent review
Yes.
of this
Judge
at some
Mocha?
point.
Is
Judge Mocha? Base?
Yes, apparently she's the independent reviewer that will be reviewing
Oh,
the EPA.
yeah.
'Cause
I
I
thought you
think-
meant like I don't know. Do you happen to know who the Fugu court judge is currently, acting judge?
You mean the director of the Fugu Region Department of Justice?
Department of Justice.
Is the director the primary judge of the trial system, or?
Um,
Are you guys working on?
I'm
a
not
judicial
sure.
system?
Yes, we've decided they will be there. We will contact the Department of Justice, the Fugu Region Department of Justice, for an independent review of the EPA before we sign off.
No. That's not how this works.
No. This is
EPA
not.
I feel like
you
this
do
is
not get a
exactly how it
choice. You do
I
not
think
get a
the
choice.
majority
There will be
agrees
oversight.
that the EPA is a good concept, but we need to place some checks and balances
There must prevent
to make
the
sure that
overreach.
the EPA does not overreach over, Fugu Land's plans
Well,
and aspirations and innovation.
I think it must be considered, right, that that progress can't continue on Fuguland until this is sorted out.
I think the environmental concerns that you brought up are important, but we have also been keeping our promises in terms of making sure that we do not extensively harm the environment.
We need a
And
break
I
first
think
and
my
ask questions
presentation
later.
says otherwise.
Well, your presentation, you brought numbers out of nowhere.
To be quite frank, all of your numbers require an independent review. I will just be quite
Yeah.
frank with you.
I mean,
we will be contacting.
We can tour the site right now and see all the
we
picture
will
evidence,
be contacting professional.
If we go to the site right
Outside
now and we see
organization.
10,000 villagers,
Uh,
we will sign off on the
oh,
EPA.
yeah,
if I see
shareholders,
10, we go
shareholders.
and I see
If
10,000
I
villagers,
see
it's a
10,000
big
villagers,
deal.
I
we're right
just
there right
received a message, an email from on my phone. Let me just doop, 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 boop, 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 boop. Yes. The person that we were talking about, speaking of the devil, Miss Moko herself, just contacted me via email. She said she's landing back home. She was off on an international a business trip for the past couple days, but she's returning tonight. And so
Oh.
we can bring her in and catch her up and potentially clear some of the water, as some might say.
I see.
I see.
I see.
And maybe we could take tours of the spots and really discuss your numbers,
Yes.
Mr. Joseph Bill.
And like I said,
no, that sounds good to me.
the topsoil being gone, the whatever chromia on the trees, those were all there prior to Fuguland breaking ground, and even purchasing the land to begin with. So,
I mean, do you have any proof of that?
absolutely.
Did you conduct like an extensive survey and image and account for everything, or no? I'm guessing it's gonna be no.
I think that
Versus my survey that I conducted.
your survey is just a bunch of numbers that you
conduct this
made
survey?
up.
Just a question.
Well, as recently as like an hour ago.
what credentials do you have to make these assessments of the Fuguland site?
Read that again.
PhD of what exactly?
Yeah,
environmental science.
PhD of what?
Can you
Oh.
provide proof of your PhD in environmental science?
So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
also
that's-
gives you
Yeah,
a
is there any
PhD in
report
international
documentation of your
relations, as
PhD?
you apparently surmise that there's a refugee crisis. I
I
didn't know
just
that. Did you
speak
know
about
that?
the
John?
movement.
I did not know
I didn't know
that.
that. Did you
And-
know
and-
that?
I just
I
thought
didn't
you
know
could tell
that
that
qualifies
And I don't know
you
if you knew this, but me and Dan GTD over here are proprietors of our own townships, which you claimed were suffering from an income of refugees. But I can assure you that is not the case.
I see no refugees in Lubios. I see none. In fact, they're all happily living in their homeland of Old Graveltown.
I think it's all too often the issue that refugees are invisible.
Well, they're invisible because they're not.
They're
real.
invisible
You
because they're
made
in
them
their
up.
homes in Old Graveltown.
See,
They're
this is just
sleeping
deep-seated
peacefully.
ignorance,
Look, I agree with what Foy Foy over here said. If we go to Fuguland and I find
Yeah.
and there are 10,000 villagers there, then we can have a conversation. But before then, I think
Well,
it goes
No,
you know,
my
up.
name will be on
I'm
that
willing
paper
to,
if there are 10,000
shelve
villagers
parts
there
of
right
this
now.
thing. It doesn't mean that like everything, that all my concerns are invalid.
I think that how are we supposed to trust an agency that you seemingly made up that benefits you and gives you money? It's not government. We're not paying taxes. We're
Yeah,
not
what
giving
is the
money to a
dispute
common good.
mechanism
We're giving it
for
to
We
you.
will have.
fees?
We will. I will.
Fees are
I will
given to you.
contact. I will contact the Department of Justice. We will have an
Which is who
independent
exactly?
tribunal to review your EPA.
Okay, but this needs to be
The
expedited.
we'll have the
for,
living tribunal
the
go
sake of
down.
Fuguland.
There
will
will
be
be a
expedited.
trial to evaluate your. In the meantime,
We'll have a trial. Is the courtroom set
Fuguland
up?
construction.
Go, Danny, go,
Time
Danny,
to,
go.
time to go. Time to fucking go.
We will convene in several hours.
I see. Okay. Well, you guys can go first then.
Actually, I think already you can bring
Oh,
up your
okay,
points. That
already.
might be nice, so we can sort of
Goes
bounce off
first.
of them because I know you prepared some points to discuss.
Yeah, no, certainly. Okay, so as with any construction in the modern day, with by responsible people, there needs to be a little bit of oversight. I am a little concerned by some of the shall we say, transgressions in terms of protecting the environment to the very best that we can, while also, protecting our money. Because in the end, it's pretty bad PR to be killing fish and displacing innocent people. So, my resolutions are as follows. So,
Airstrike.
I would like to, establish the EPA headed by myself, but open to have other people involved, and to have some sort of ability to present to the shareholders various regulations, to help us make sure that we're not doing anything to harm the environment. Secondly, I'd like to be able to publish, a peer-reviewed.
You might want to quiet down the peanut gallery there. They're bringing a little.
Yeah, so frankly, like I feel like this is kind of showing of their character. But I'd also like to approve a land acknowledgement for the displaced refugees and hold some space for them. And then establish a reserve.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
We can revisit it.
Who are the displaced refugees?
Oh, we can discuss the displaced refugees. No problem. But then I'd also like to, establish a preserve for the endangered fishhook salmon that are currently being threatened by the expansion of this park, and really, honestly, its current boundaries. And then, lastly, erect a couple of barriers near nearby bodies of water, namely lake water, to help preserve lake water. And then also, approve a little bit of funding for above head, administrative costs in making this all happen. Pretty straightforward.
And
And,
where's the funding coming from?
Well, it would have to be from, the government in Fuguland.
Oh, I see.
Government. It's a theme park.
Your Honor, might I speak a little bit? here?
Yes. You may.
Why are
Ladies
you
and gentlemen.
dancing?
Behave! Word court! Behave!
What do you mean? What do you mean, man? I'm not doing anything, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring something forward today. I was fully prepared to make some good, statements, some good agreements, come to a courtroom where we could agree on hard facts and infallible truth.
Facts and logic, yeah.
But here's the deal. It has come to my attention that there may be a tiny bit of fudging going on in one Mr. Joseph Balaam. now I know I can't make these kind of claims just out of nowhere. So I would like to, if given permission, to bring some evidence forward of some potentially problematic issues with his surveying and claims
Ooh.
of our destruction of the
Okay.
environment. Can I bring that?
Yes, you are
Okay.
allowed. Mhm.
I would like to begin with something very simple. Joseph Balaam claims that our park takes up currently 1 gazillion blocks of the Highland.
Okay.
Now, I did think that number was wrong, but I do agree I did not survey the land, therefore he had that over me and he said that he did. However, after that fact, I have surveyed the land, and I've surveyed the land to a concrete specificity. Here we have an image of the surveyed land, and as you can see, according to my calculations, the area of bucket vision is currently 27 blocks wide, and if you take that, and you also use the coordinate system given to me by our satellite imaging, our park takes about 350 by 292 blocks of space.
Okay.
Now, this does not sort of negate any of the other concerns that Joe may have with our expansion. However, it does show that maybe, just maybe, his numbers aren't exactly what they say they are. Now,
Might I interject briefly, or do you wish to continue?
it's up to the judge.
I think when you finish the statement, and then
Okay.
Yeah, I'll respond after.
Which brings me to the next point. Joseph Balaam claimed that our actions in the park has affected the local wildlife and the local word for trees, I'm forgetting right now, and has discolored them in a way because of our actions.
Oh my.
Which is true. Which okay. Which
Put
is
them up there.
there's factually
Oh, they're in the
discolored
sky. Oh,
trees
no.
in the area of Fuguland. I cannot deny that fact. It exists. I have pictures of it. You know, if we all look at this picture right here, you know that this is in fact. I'm sorry. Once. Why can't I? Don't pick it up. Oh, there you go. This is in fact the borders of Fuguland right here and these discolored trees. I totally see that. However, what he fails to recognize and tell the general audience is that these discolored trees have existed long before and long outside of our reach. I would like to present to you 2 images. Here we see, if I could get this right.
So small.
Here we see a collection of the same discolored trees, affected by the same exact ailment that I don't exactly remember the name of. Apologies. But if you notice, we seem to be a bit away from Fuguland. I would like to bring up another photo real quick. This photo right here. Here you see that these same exact trees being pictured here are in fact several hundred blocks away from Fuguland. And I feel like that is some clarifying evidence that perhaps these trees have been affected by this issue before and you know, separate from the effects that may be happening because of Fuguland. Further discrediting you know, Joseph's potential
Stay the fuck still!
truth speaking. And finally, I would like to bring up something to the court. If everybody could... why does it keep doing that? 1 second. If everybody could take a moment to look at several photos for me. These are photos taken in the Highland area, all of which were taken recently. And in the same biome, in the same vicinity, just a bit of ways away from the actual Fuguland Park. So we, you know, we're outside of Fuguland territory, as we would say. and we are in more so just the natural highlands and active ecosystems. And there's going to be a lot of photos. I apologize. I just wanted to get my point across. Give me a moment. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Now, if you all, I need more board space. Give me a second.
You need more space?
Bro, it's enough pictures.
I gotta
though.
get my point. No, I gotta get my point across, guys. You don't understand.
Oh my god.
Almost
you
sips
look
on
at all
some
these
bubble while you
photos-
do that.
Do you happen to notice a lack of something within all of these pools around the highlands?
They're not red.
All these bodies of water. Despite the coloration, of course, that's a separate point.
A lack of Fugu feel. Lack of Fugu land.
No.
They
Anything?
look healthy and teeming with life.
Well, I
I
would
actually
actually
argue
say
the opposite. If you look, you may notice there's no fish at all. In
Oh, yeah,
fact,
you're right.
even in lake water, there seems to be no wildlife.
Mm.
Now, these are areas, again, distant from Fuguland, away from Fuguland, right? These are areas that we haven't touched, we haven't even considered. And so I question when Joseph brought up the point that we are endangering the local hook salmon, and I bring you this. This is a picture of a pool directly next to Fuguland. There are hook salmon in it. Now, I don't recall hook salmon being in there before, but I could have been mistaken. They could have been there previously. But it's weird that they only show up near Fuguland. You know, I could argue that maybe our Fuguland, doings are actually increasing the environmental and biodiversity in the area, but no. I just think it's strange that that's happening.
I see.
I'd like to show you another photo.
Bro, this is like Exhibit Z at this point. There's like.
I'm sorry. This is very important. This is a picture of Joseph Balaam holding a bucket. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm familiar with the idea that fish can be carried in buckets and transported to different locations.
I see.
There's no way.
I would like to claim that Joseph Balaam is framing Fuguland for his own monetary gain, relocating salmon into empty pools in the Fuguland area to create the guise of an EPA that is protecting our environment, whereas in fact he is using this to financially benefit. Now here's another final photo as just a final bit. If you notice that basalt that has been placed down there, here is Joseph Balaam actively placing basalt. That basalt is also from his hometown of South Osaka, as you can see here. And as you can also see in these pictures of South Osaka, he's seemingly using the labors of Pokemon in his active construction sites. I don't know. I just feel like that's pretty. That seems to
That
be
is
like
timber
antithesis
right there.
of his own
Interesting.
beliefs and values that he seems to hold with the EPA, and I just wanted to bring that forward.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just need to get that on the floor and bring that in front of everybody, so that we can all, consider and look at that.
Okay.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I respond to these claims?
Yes, you may now.
Should I take
respond.
them down, or do you want me to leave
I can't take them down.
I mean,
Unless
I
Joe
prefer
wants
you
to,
to leave
like-
them up. Yeah,
you wanna
just
leave
so I
them
can,
up? Okay,
just
okay.
address
I'll
them.
come over
so.
here.
I mean, to the first point of the Pokemon.
I'm
in my
gonna sit in
town,
the peanut gallery actually.
I would, for reference, I will be making a couple of depositions of evidence in the Discord if that's fine. But when it comes to having Pokemon in my town, I implore any of you to go to any of the other towns where there's large oil processing facilities, nuclear power plants releasing
Clean energy,
God
by
knows
the
what
way.
into the atmosphere.
Clean energy.
I
Objection,
heard it's a year
speculation.
nuclear,
I mean,
actually,
this,
according
this,
to HBO.
Your Honor, this is
1%.
entirely speculative.
One
Might I say that
time
nuclear
speaking.
power
Hello.
only-
Ding ding ding.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Joseph is speaking right now.
Yeah, I think it's kind of shocking how much they're trying to cut across. But, so that being said, very large urban environments, seemingly unending expansion, right? On all fronts, really, except for mine. I have a nice, simple, city that's synergistic with the mountain, with all of my, denizens of the town, the Pokemon.
What about the large half-finished single-lane highway going across the mountain range?
Order in the court will come in a bit.
Oh, the one that connects the impoverished distal communities where Grant and Zakir live? Yeah, that one.
Zakir.
What?
Impoverished
Grant
distal
and-
community.
Me? Huh?
I think he moved out, but Grant, lives out there.
I mean, objection. This is very combative. I mean, this.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
I mean, I'm just
we're
getting-
going
let's just
off a
get to the
bit
point.
too.
Let's just get to the point.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mind you, that is from an
I'll-
interjection
I'll-
from
I'll-
Jerry. Yeah.
yes,
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll sit down.
No
Now-
more interjections.
Secondly, when it comes to me holding a bucket, I would like to observe that I guess milk farmers are also transporting fish now by default. I've anyone really carrying a bucket, by that logic, is doing the same thing, which I think is grossly speculative. That being said, I am, like a wildlife management expert. I have a PhD in environmental science.
Objection. This is not true at all.
Well, I just typed it, so it's
Your
true.
Honor, have his credentials been properly reviewed, and have we confirmed that he is indeed graduated from an accredited university with a PhD in environmental science?
I don't know.
Is that really
I
necessary?
believe the answer is no.
I believe the
I
answer
do
is no.
recall the offense saying, oh yeah, what's that one condition that they were talking about with the trees? I don't know. Yeah, I do, because I have a
I
few.
don't know.
That we only went off of the information
Again,
that you presented.
these are further interjections. I was silent the whole time. This is kind of
All right, let's just
Shocking.
let him speak. Everybody, let him speak.
Okay.
So I'd also like to add that further to that point, the individual that was just speaking, Dan, who also said, to the point of these pictures not having fish, that was a good thing, whereas the rest of the defense was on the opposite hand. So clearly within even their own council, they're not quite really understanding the implications of the
Objection. That's
nature.
not that. This is complete lies. It's not what the record shows at all. If you review what I said, that's not
do
what I
the
said in the
record
slightest.
show?
That's not what I said in the slightest. I
The record
said
shows.
I said the fields were teeming with life, which was true. However, I did not say anything about the lake. I also said the lake wasn't red, which is also proven by these pictures.
Yeah, I never said it was is the issue. So
Okay, so you lied. Great.
I said there was a
Let's
risk
let
that
him fin-
could
let's
be
let him
red.
finish.
He
Let him
did say
finish.
it was a
There's
risk
a-
of being
He
red.
did say it wasn't
context.
That's the quote.
For context, I'll show you the slide in question.
Minus 10 minutes.
Need to pull up a TV. Oh, okay.
I think he's just
Pulling
gonna
up a
post it in the
TV.
Discord.
I'm just sending it in Discord.
Look, I think we should just let him speak. Let's stop interjecting, and then we can come back.
No, I will continue to object if he does bad things.
Your Honor, could you hold him in contempt if he
You
continues?
can't hold
to
me
do
in
so?
contempt for valid objections. The judge has sustained most of my objections so far. I'd just like to say
I
that.
don't think the judge is necessarily.
Judge, have you sustained most of my objections so far?
What is
except for that last
sustained?
one?
Means
It
that-
means you agree with my
You
You
objection.
agree?
I think if he makes an objection and says this is wrong, you can say sustained and be like, yeah, that you're right.
I
Oh no.
don't completely have an opinion yet.
Okay, that's
Um,
fine. We can go from now on. We can do it from now on, kind of thing.
I think we should just
Yeah,
let him and then
okay.
rebuttal afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, like I
Okay,
did,
yes,
and I'm currently
yes.
doing. So, if you'll observe, this slide here is. Ooh, did it not include? Oh, sorry. The title of this slide is "Runoff Risk Factors." Please note that risk factors. And as you page through the slide, which isn't apparent here, the picture starts off without any of the graphics, including the overlaid red lake, right? So that's not the point that I'm trying to say that the lake is currently red. I'm saying, being that there's construction on a slope above the lake that has, including red stone, which I did the calculations. It is actually copper 2 sulfate, which has an LD50
I'm
of 4.
sorry.
You're sorry.
One of
what
my
was
calculations.
Nothing.
I'd just like
Continue,
to
please.
observe,
Please
like,
continue.
the PhD here is being a nerd. So I think that kind of proves who I am. But yeah, so I mean, just like I feel like it's fairly damning that there is a great risk of runoff, given that there's exposed runoff redstone in the rain above a slope, which is then has a lake at the bottom. If you direct your attention to the right side of the slide, that's essentially, like one of the highest like risk conditions for runoff to occur. In addition, there is another fairly damning thing I need to pull from ye old screenshots. If you give me 1 second.
Okay.
Is it in the folder, Jerry? Oh yeah, it is.
Screenshots folder, yeah.
Please refrain from using weapons in the courthouse. Thank you.
I'm scared.
Massive axe.
So I accessed the area below Fuguland here. I would like to note that even now you can go and see that it is a massive cavern over which was paved, and now there are hundreds of sheep and cow and pigs and other Pokemon even trapped inside this dark, eternally dark
I
even
was
chasm.
aware of this, actually.
So
Eternally dark.
I think that is a humanitarian crisis unfolding before our eyes.
There's a date and time on those, bro, and the location. That's cooked.
I'm kind of
No,
cool.
I got it.
Bro, there's a date, time, and location.
I have been aware of
Wait,
this.
he's got-
Okay,
Oh, no.
let me
Continue.
hear.
My company's
wait.
cooked.
First,
I have
Joseph, continue.
Yeah,
Are really?
I have very few points remaining. So,
Okay.
Oh.
in
This way.
the country where I'm from,
Charizard is dodgeball.
I'm typing it out now. 1 gazillion is actually a unit
okay.
used by the common people.
I see.
Objection,
Dude, you can't do
relevance.
no, you cannot
Objection,
do this.
relevance.
No, I know
like,
exactly what he's
there's
gonna
roughly-
do.
Uh,
No, you can no.
I haven't been
no,
made aware of these different languages.
Okay, but that's not
Objection,
anywhere
facts,
near.
not
That's
evidence.
not even near the amount. Even if that was the correct number, that's not even near amount.
Your Honor,
that
do we
the
have an
specifications
expert on
Jerry
this
provided.
local culture other than the man
Um,
currently being
we don't.
being examined under this hearing to confirm this?
That being unavailable doesn't have any bearing on this.
It absolutely has a bearing.
I would agree.
You are not
Look,
we cannot
if we
trust
do
you.
the 292 by 350, it's way less than 100K.
It is not. It is exactly 100K. But still, he just made that up, right? Like we could all agree that he just made that up.
I will have to agree on
Your Honor,
that.
that is complete
Okay,
fabrication.
Withdrawn,
Considering this
then.
man is under oath,
Withdrawn.
this could be cause for contempt of court.
But I can prove it if you after he's done speaking.
Oh yes, yes.
Okay, well, that aside, I am willing to admit, that maybe the tree chlorosis is not solely due to the expansion, contraction, or presence of Fuguland to our knowledge at this moment. That being said, I think, funding, which I'm minimally asking, for like maybe, I think $10,000, which is, a million EMC, which I don't think I've funded more than that to go towards
It's
Fuguland.
100,000.
So it's 100,000. So I'm asking for, very slim pickings in terms of funding the ongoing research into looking into this phenomena. So I think compounded by the actual humanitarian efforts in trying to save all the trapped animals underneath the Fuguland, which are still there, and just speculation and disagreement about the condition and cause of a lot of these natural phenomena, I think necessitates really funding and giving approval for the EPA.
And what, like, how is the funding necessary
start.
for the research?
Is it my turn?
Wait, no, I have one question.
Okay.
I don't
Sorry.
think I asked the question, yeah.
Yes, how is
Oh,
the
what'd you
funding
say?
necessary? How is the funding necessary for the research?
Well, the funding actually goes to, mostly towards materials. It's difficult to collect and then process and quantify various materials from all these different locations, as well as, especially in the case of preserving the salmon that are currently there, which is, an undisputable fact that there are salmon in danger there. You need to
Objection,
create-
facts, not an evidence.
They are. Jerry put pictures of the salmon that are there by Fuguland, but I digress. So it takes materials, manpower, and time to do that. So I think
Could you
marginal funds are necessary to make that happen.
list said materials? that we
Yes.
Yeah, certainly. I can't really do it right now. Like,
I think. Look,
Well,
I
but
could
that's why I'm
go
asking
and
for a
I could
marginal
go, and then
explorer.
we
What
can,
will
we
you
can talk
be,
some more.
Just some
building?
like,
Well,
well,
I'm
just-
asking
just
for,
some
like, a
ideas of what could happen.
well, this is a small exploratory funds to like figure out what
Mhm.
to do. Like, I can't ask someone when I'm writing a grant to be like, "Oh, tell me the results."
Yeah, but like, what tools would you use? Would you?
Well, I
use
need
the
to
money?
Like,
I
what
need to
would you
figure that out.
expect to use?
What would you
Well,
expect to use?
yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, like
Well,
you
I
gotta have at
mean-
least an idea.
Well, I need to
You
expand.
have a
I
my
need-
PhD. You should know.
facility.
To be these funds are to create a facility, to expand a facility.
But, to augment facilities currently existing, in public spaces even, or, in Lumio's tower, I do have leased currently an office space, which I can use to, further the processing and handling of said materials and samples.
You don't even know what it's called. This is good.
And-
Guys, I got this.
Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
in short, it's for space, manpower, and, I can't exactly put it down right now, what the exact materials
Mhm.
are, but I think that's hardly relevant to, exploring the beginning of this.
I need to know how the money would be used.
Well,
'Cause I think
some
that's
of it
one of the
would
biggest
go
arguments.
to defendant Daniel over there.
Okay.
Defendant. I'm not on trial.
Or I don't know. This
Your
is
Honor,
under trial.
I think if I am allowed to present
know,
my
I
evidence, then we
welcome
can enter
to- Okay.
arbitration
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
afterwards, if that pleases the court.
Oh, wait, are you done? Or
Well,
not yet?
I do have one other final
Oh,
I
point.
think you're
This,
done.
Okay, what closing statement?
I think
please.
you're done.
Okay, this is this blocking of the stuff here is to prevent the further spread of grass growing over the evidence to show where the land was scarred. While the grass may grow back, the issue is that there's less topsoil in this area for native trees to perhaps come back. So the preservation of evidence is not, anything to be concerned with for this trial.
Are there not?
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone here today. I was going to systematically address the Mr. Iridi's points. But first, I would like to make it stated and known, for I fear that this might have gotten lost, that Fuguland is in no way opposed to adhering to environmental regulations or dedicating more resources to environmental sustainability. The Fuguland stance is that our concern is that in so giving giving an agency that was created by one man the power to decide what is right or wrong, that this is inherently not protective, and in fact more so wanting to give the defendant Iridi more money and power. And that is the purpose behind his bringing up of these pieces of evidence, as opposed to him genuinely wanting to make sure that the environment is safe and clean, because we believe that it is safe and clean, and we also believe that he has maybe fabricated some evidence in order to get himself a lofty paycheck.
Mhm.
And like I said, we are not opposed to an EPA being created. We are not opposed to investing resources into making sure that these things exist. But when these claims were brought to us, we were told that we would need to give one fee to Aridi, payable to Aridi, fees, just nebulous fees. We were not given an amount. And even today, he says, well, it might be $10,000 to start, and then who knows what else.
I see.
Not even to the organization.
And that is our concern. It is not that we don't want to follow environmental regulations. It's that we are simply afraid and concerned with where the money is going and how it's being used. Now, I would like to go through each and every one of Aridi's points, starting with the one that I feel like has gotten the least amount of play today, but I feel like is also the most egregious: the claim of 10,000 refugees from old Graveltown existing.
Yes.
Now, if it pleases the court, I would like to cast everyone's mind back to the evening of February 4th, 2025.
Oh no.
About 5.5 years ago, the Fugu region was founded. It was founded by some friends, some people who came to this land with nothing, and found it bountiful and shared with. Okay. And shared the land with the villagers who so graciously allowed us into their homes. However, that night, tragedy struck. And I think we all know where this is going. That's when the monsters came.
Don't remind me.
The monsters came, and unfortunately, Your Honor, members of the court, people died. Villagers died that day. I mean, yes, if you need to excuse yourself, please do. People died that day. It was sad. That is why Old Graveltown is lacking a population. They were not pushed out. They were not forced out. Most of the residents were slaughtered, frankly. And although it is horrible that that happened, and we are all sad that that happened, we did our best to make sure that monsters would never harm any villager ever again. And I think we've kept good on our promises. And in fact, Graveltown today stands as a bastion of innovation and technology. Of course, I'm sure you all know Wendy of Wendy's Windy Wares. She was one of the last surviving members of Old Graveltown, and now she owns a shop, a thriving shop, might I add. Sandy and Freddie, two villagers who just moved into a townhouse, just welcomed their first child into the world. Now, do these sound
beautiful
like the acts of refugees? People who live in townhouses and have thriving businesses
Thank you.
in the city that they were raised in? I would disagree personally. But that's just one thing. I would also like to point to the name of the city, Graveltown. Do we think that this name came out of nowhere? Or, in fact, is all the topsoil issues that Aridi is bringing up, which I'm not saying are not big issues or anything, but I'm saying that maybe the fact that it's named Graveltown implies that there's always been gravel here. That either that is just the land or the topsoil had eroded far before we got here. Far before we had anything to do with it, and definitely far before Fuguland broke ground.
True.
And beyond that, I will address the fish situation. Now, these salmon, as you can see by all these other pictures, even in lake water, they're not native to this region. In fact, most of these puddles of water are, and I believe Mr. Aridi would agree with me, likely created due to rainwater runoff. They are not connected to any larger rivers or streams, even sloughs, if you will. So how did they get here? Now, I'm not claiming anything about how they got here. In that only one specific pond, whereas all the other enclosed areas of water don't have any fish in them whatsoever. I'm not making any claims. I'm just saying that perhaps the existence of these salmon has nothing to do with Fuguland development. That's all I'm saying. And now, as far as the way that Fuguland was built up and how there is basically a cavern underneath said land, I will admit that this is true. This is accurate.
I am aware.
This is how the land was created. And if it would please the court, Fuguland would promise to give resources to relocate humanely all of the livestock underneath Fuguland and to fill it in so that no livestock spawn there again. And once that is the case, then no harm, no foul, right? I mean, here's the thing about livestock in this world is they spawn, they despawn. These fish
that is true.
haven't despawned yet. So that's curious. I'm just saying. And the animals underneath the current Fuguland will despawn eventually, and new animals will spawn in and take their place. But we understand the environmental issues with that, and will, if it would please all parties involved, commit to humanely relocating all those animals and refilling in the space so that no new animals spawn in, and Oridi can even be a part of that project should he so choose. Now, if I'm forgetting anything, please forgive me, but I believe that is all the claims that he made. Oh, also the redstone runoff. I mean, simply put, there is no evidence that redstone leaves residue at all. Redstone has been used for thousands of years. It is a natural mineral found in the ground, and there is absolutely zero evidence of it changing the color of any body of water in any place whatsoever. And there's plenty of redstone all around, and there's never been a single recorded case of that happening. So if real evidence is presented of it being a risk, we will make sure to mitigate as much as humanly possible. But as of right now, we have not seen any evidence that would suggest that is something that we need to worry about in this present moment. And now with that, I believe that I have tackled all of Mr. Aridi's points. I have tackled Fuguland's own stances on said points, and I've tackled Fuguland's stances on environmental regulation in general. I believe that is all for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse me.
May I make a closing argument briefly?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to direct the court's attention to, just outside this here. What direction? South-facing window.
South-facing window. Okay.
Over here, that big flat parcel of land with outlines on it used to be a town. I really enjoyed John's little foray into history. I want to take one of my own.
Objection relevance?
Let him finish and then see.
So, this here is actually, the product of unchecked corporations and what they can do to the environment.
Objection, massive speculation.
No, this is the product of, unchecked power where individuals seeking to do stuff with really essentially no input from environmental consultants, experts, what have you. This is a big flat piece of nothing where once there was a big thriving community of villagers, many plants, many natural features. You can even see, etched into the ground in harsh relief, those flat, walls and deep cuts into the terrain. That's hardly natural. That's hardly environmentally friendly. My concern,
speculation again,
for this court, I'm done viewing the window to the south, but I trust that image is etched in all of your minds. My concern, right, is that a body with no oversight such as the shareholders, engineer, developers of Fuguland. My concern is that
That's a pretty big concern.
captivity of hundreds of animals. So I feel like I get a sense that the goalposts have moved a little bit in terms of me presenting a couple of issues as justification for establishing an agency like that, with admittedly little funding and me being open to have other people join the EPA. Then going to the extent of agreeing to fix some problems and make indeterminate solutions for these hardly really solves the core issue that they were made in the first place, and that they'll continue to be made, in my opinion. So I think that there's ample justification for an independent body such as the EPA to exist, to check and make sure that these same issues aren't played out over and over again like they have been for the history of development around here. And I'm really happy to collaborate and submit a lot of these measures for approval to the shareholders. But I think that
Let me do a closing statement. I'm a cook.
I'd appreciate not being interrupted in my statement.
Or whispering, sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fine then. But yeah, so in short, I think that there's really no reason that I and other people can't form the EPA to stop history from repeating itself. And yeah, that's my closing argument.
Thank you. And now your closing argument?
Yes. I'm just gonna get rid of these. I hope these aren't important.
Oh,
Oh, you have to.
All right.
I love floating
Oh,
images.
they're still there.
Whoa.
I see.
Yeah, let me collect these. Let me put these back in my folder.
All right. Okay.
Do you have any? Or...
Maybe. Let's see. No, I don't.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the court, in 1776, the United States of America went through a revolution. Far off land from the Fugu region,
It's really
but
loud,
still,
man.
still relevant to.
I'm sorry, my folder's just really big.
K-Kono W.
Still very relevant to today's case. The United States of America went through a revolution. And one of the products of that revolution was a very important question. After throwing off the tyranny of the king and the tyranny of monarchical oppression, there was a need for oversight. But with oversight, there came another question. Who will watch the watchers? And that, ladies and gentlemen of the court, is a question that plagues us still to this day. It is a difficult one to answer. And I do not believe that it is one that Mr. Aridi has an answer to, unfortunately. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, the EPA, while noble in its desires to regulate and protect the sanctity of the wildlife of the Fugu region, is nonetheless bogged down by corruption and by the desires of one man to distort the objectives of this organization for his own personal gain. The EPA, under Mr. Aridi, is arguing that we, as the Fuguland company, will be destroying the environment if we are not regulated. And yet it rolls back to the same question as before. Who will watch the EPA as it regulates and taxes and takes resources away from Fuguland? Your Honor, I don't believe that Aridi has produced an answer to this question today. And just to put it into perspective, the man currently heading the EPA has his own financial gains to make from heading this organization. You see, Aridi is also the head of the Waffle House Corporation. Your Honor, how can one man be head of a governmental regulation agency and also be lining his pockets with the same regulatory agencies that he's profiting off of? I ask, what is stopping this man from destroying the financial success of Fuguland, only to then stand as the only source of fun and amusement in Graveltown? I say to you, Your Honor, that this man is poised in an incredibly dangerous position to fall victim to the same tyranny which plagued the United States of America in 1776, and the same tyranny which we so bravely fought against and won independence from. I ask you, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the court today, to fight against tyranny, to not accept the dictatorship of one man who has let his personal desires get ahead of nobler goals. I yield.
Your Honor, that was a Continental Army's worth of evidence produced only in the closing arguments, I must say.
Okay. You know, I understand where Mr. Aridi's coming from. However, because there's no clear answer to how the fundings will be used, along with some evidence of usage of money in other ways by Mr. Aridi, oh, I can't approve for the funding of the EPA?
PA.
The EPA from the government and from Fuguland? What is the theme park?
Fuguland.
Yeah.
Her memory's still coming back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course,
The
of course.
names of everything is. If there's some other way that you could have funding from maybe like through donations, you're welcome to do that. It doesn't mean you can't establish the EPA. Yeah.
So I
But-
can't establish the EPA. Is that what I'm hearing? Under what terms could it be established? Because I feel like that's the more important. Because the funding
It
is
sounds
very
like a
important to me.
non-profit as opposed to a government agency.
Yes. I think that could
That,
work.
as we say in the business, Joe, is a you problem.